If you think humans are the apex species of the universe, think again. But what if the galaxy's most feared predator, the one that hunts without remorse, tears through starships and outwits entire fleets, was found, sleeping beside a human? Smash that like button, drop a comment with your favorite alien species, and subscribe for more jaw-dropping sci-fi stories. Now buckle up. You're not ready for what happens next. He had never seen fear in Commander Jex Tarn's eyes before. Not in all the years Private Kale Draven had served under him. Not when their squad was ambushed on the frozen moons of Velgrath. Not even when they lost half their company to the atmospheric storms of Arc 7. But this transmission, this flickering, corrupted message on the war table, it made the commander's jaw tighten like a vice. The message had been transmitted from a dead system. No returning signals. Just a 30-second recording, a static-choked clip from the final moments of Recon Unit 9. The camera shook violently, jostled by something heavy outside the transport. Inside, the soldiers shouted, weapons drawn, a siren howling. Then silence, sharp and sudden. One of the Marines turned to the camera and whispered, "It chooses." Then the feed cut to black. Jex tapped the control panel, eyes hard as obsidian. It's moved again. Next location, Sector XR-91. Outskirts of the Orion Veil. One life sign. Human. His voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of a man delivering a death sentence. Kale leaned forward, watching the red dot blink steadily on the tactical holomap. Wait, a human? There. Alone. Possibly, Jex muttered. Or bait. Kale didn't speak. He knew what bait meant when dealing with this thing. They all did. It wasn't just another apex predator. It wasn't some mutated warbeast bred in a lab or a rogue AI. It was Xerax. A creature that turned strategies into corpses. A nightmare that evolved faster than entire militaries. It tore through star cruisers like wet paper, ripped through armored mechs with a single slash. And worst of all, it learned. Every time someone thought they could trap it, cage it, ambush it, it remembered. And next time it wouldn't just escape. It would erase them. The ship's engines fired to life as Omega Black lifted from the council hangar. Silence ruled the cabin. Even the rookies, normally too brash or too green to understand, kept their helmets on and their mouths shut. 12 elite soldiers. 4 alien species. 1 human. 1 predator. Only 2 would matter. Kale stared out the viewport, eyes locked on the distant smear of stars stretching beyond. Sector XR-91 was marked as a null zone. No colonies. No settlements. Barely breathable atmosphere. The kind of place you only landed on if you were desperate. Or suicidal. Jex paced the aisle between the seats, voice cutting through the silence. Briefing now. You all know what this thing is. But what you don't know, what Command refuses to believe, is that it isn't acting like a wild animal anymore. Last 3 sites showed patterns. It avoids sensors. It disables drones. It buries its dead. Kale glanced at the file, flipping through holographic images. Charred wrecks. Shredded armor. Blood. But also, strange signs. Burial mounds. Marked stones. Symbols etched into metal. Intelligence thinks it's mimicking us, Jex said. I don't. I think it's watching us. No one responded. There was nothing to say. Hours later, the dropship pierced the thick violet clouds of XR-91, descending through a swirling storm front. Lightning forked across the sky. Turbulence rocked the vessel. But as they broke through, a jagged mountain range came into view, black stone, dusted with ash. And nestled in the valley below it, a cave. Scans picked up heat signatures. 1 massive. 1 humanoid. Jex activated the external cams. The team watched as a sleek scout drone hovered into the cave entrance. Its night vision feed streamed to the main display. The cavern was vast, lined with bones and minerals fused by heat. But in the center, lying half-curled, was a behemoth. Xerax. Black scales like obsidian, ridged with silver filaments. Muscles coiled beneath armor-thick hide. A mouth filled with saw-like teeth. Claws that could pierce hull plating. And curled beside it, a man. He lay on a bed of moss and fur, breathing steadily. Arms slung lazily over the predator's foreleg. Head resting on its side. No cuffs. No barriers. No weapons. Just sleep. Kale blinked. What the hell? Jex froze. His voice, when it came, was barely above a whisper. Run a DNA check on the human. The data loaded within seconds. Name Logan Vale. Former Earth Special Forces. Presumed dead 6 months ago after his transport vanished in deep space. Status MIA. Psychological profile. resilient, strategic, non-confrontational and less provoked. Cale leaned in closer. Sir. If that's really Logan Vale, what is he doing with that? Jex didn't respond. He stared at the image as if trying to peel back layers of reality with his mind. The drone drifted closer. Xerex's tail twitched. Its eyes opened, deep yellow slits rimmed in black. It didn't move. Didn't attack. Just watched. Then Logan stirred. He blinked groggily, sat up, rubbed his eyes. Looked straight at the drone and smiled. Can I help you? He said, voice crackling through the drone's mic. Cale recoiled. Did he just? Jex hissed, pull the drone back. Now. But it was too late. Xerex shifted. It rose, stretching lazily, towering over the camera like a mountain waking up. Yet still, it didn't attack. It moved behind Logan, tail curling around him protectively. Not like a guard dog. Not like a prisoner's warden. Like a companion. The screen went black. The silence in the dropship was suffocating. No one breathed. No one blinked. Cale finally muttered, Sir. Do we engage? Jex sat slowly. No. We wait. We observe. If that creature was going to kill him, it would have done so already. Something is happening here that no one understands. Not the Council. Not intelligence. Not even us. But he's just a human, one of the alien troopers said. What could he have done? Jex didn't answer immediately. His gaze drifted back to the last image burned into the screen. A man resting with death incarnate curled beside him like a sleeping pet. Cale whispered, more to himself than anyone, what if she chose him? Jex's eyes flicked toward him. Then God's help us all. The dropship touched down 2 clicks from the cave, cloaked and silent. Jex ordered a low-heat perimeter set up, sensor jamming fields activated. No sudden movements. No weapons drawn unless absolutely necessary. Cale volunteered for recon. Human to human, maybe Logan would talk. Or warn. Or explain. Jex agreed reluctantly. As Cale slipped into the dim twilight outside, one thought burned through his mind. The Council had sent them to destroy a monster. But what they'd found was far worse. It wasn't a monster anymore. It was something new. And it had already made its choice. Logan Vale just happened to be the only one in the galaxy it trusted to live with it. And that meant every empire, every species, every system that ever feared Xerex, had just become irrelevant. Because if death itself had made a friend, what came next would change the universe forever. Cale moved through the valley like a whisper, his boots soundless against the ash-dusted stone. The sky above was a bruised gray, casting everything below in a strange pallor that seemed half shadow, half dream. The signal tracker pulsed softly against his wrist, locking onto the lone human heartbeat inside the cave. Still alive. Still calm. And still beside the thing that had given even the Council nightmares. The weight of it pressed against Cale's chest with every step. He'd faced death before, quick, sudden, and often impersonal. But this was different. This wasn't war. This was walking into the den of something ancient and terrifying. Not just strength. Not just intelligence. He reached the cave's edge and paused, allowing his breathing to settle. No motion from inside. He stepped into the shadow. The air inside was warmer than expected. Humid. Laced with a musky scent that hinted at animal breath and old blood. But it wasn't the stink of decay. It was something cleaner somehow. Primal. Alive. He took 5 steps, then stopped. 20 meters ahead, lit faintly by a cluster of bioluminescent fungi, lay Logan Vale. He was seated cross-legged, sharpening a piece of metal against stone. Beside him, half-curled but alert, was Xerex. The creature's eyes were open now, locked onto Cale. No sound. No growl. Just the steady gaze of something that had chosen not to kill. Logan didn't look up. You shouldn't be here. Cale's hand hovered near his sidearm but didn't touch it. They sent me to find you. They? Logan said without slowing his sharpening. Or the ones who think dropping bombs solves mysteries? Cale took a slow breath. Both. Finally, Logan raised his head. He looked older than in the holofiles. Beard grown in, eyes tired but sharp. He studied Cale for a moment, then glanced at Xerex. Relax, he said to her. He's not stupid. To Cale's disbelief, the beast blinked once, then lowered her head and exhaled like a sigh. Cale stepped forward cautiously. Is that really Xerex? She prefers Nara, Logan said. Though she only tolerates names. Mostly she responds to tone. Cale sat on a flat stone a few meters away. He couldn't take his eyes off her. The monster. The destroyer. Wrapped around a human like a living fortress. How long have you been here? Logan shrugged. I lost track after the third storm. Months maybe. Doesn't matter. Not anymore. Kale hesitated. You were presumed dead. There was no beacon. No crash signature. I turned the beacon off, Logan said. Didn't want company. Why? Logan gestured around the cave. Because this is the only place in the galaxy that doesn't want to own, study, or kill her. Kale frowned. You think she's peaceful? I think she's more complex than anything the Council wants to admit. He tossed the shard of metal aside and leaned back against Nara's shoulder. She didn't flinch. Instead, she made a low thrumming sound that vibrated through the stone floor. She was going to kill me, Logan said after a pause. When I crashed, I was half dead. I dragged myself into this cave to die. She found me. Just stood there. Watching. What changed? I talked, Logan said simply. Didn't expect her to understand. I just figured if I was going to die, I'd rather not do it screaming. I told her about Earth. About war. About mistakes. About how I didn't want to fight anymore. Kale tilted his head. She spared you because of words? No, Logan said. She spared me because I didn't try to control her. That's the difference. Kale looked down, processing. She's killed thousands. Whole ships. Outposts. She was hunted. Prodded like a lab rat for years. Of course she fought back. Wouldn't you? Kale didn't answer. Logan watched him. You think this is about biology? About her being a predator. But it's not. It's about trust. She doesn't trust species. She trusts individuals. Kale looked at Nara. Her eyes met his. Unblinking. Not hostile. But not welcoming either. She's watching your hands, Logan said. She always watches the hands first. That's where the weapons come from. Kale slowly raised both palms. I didn't come to fight. Good, Logan said. Because she doesn't need to. Silence fell between them again. Outside, distant thunder rumbled. Kale finally broke it. They'll come. The Council. They'll bring everything. Logan nodded. I know. That's why you're here. First warning shot. See if I'll come quietly. Will you? Logan didn't answer. He turned to Nara and ran a hand down her armored neck. She leaned into it, eyelids heavy. I don't belong to them anymore, he said. Neither does she. But you're human, Kale said. You belong somewhere. Not every man needs a flag, Logan murmured. Kale looked around the cave again, then at the man and the beast beside him. The strangeness of it, the stillness, the unnatural sense of rightness. He wasn't sure if he was witnessing madness or something sacred. He stood. They'll want a report. Logan looked at him steadily. Tell them the truth. She didn't choose war. She chose me. And if they don't accept that? Logan gave a faint, tired smile. Then she'll remind them why they feared her in the first place. Kale hesitated. And you? I'll remind them why she doesn't have to. Outside, the storm broke again. Lightning crawled over the horizon. Kale turned to go but paused at the cave's edge. You know, he said, glancing back, if she really is learning, evolving, then what's she becoming? Logan rested his head against her flank. Something better. Kale left without another word. As he stepped back into the storm, he realized his hands were trembling, not from fear but from understanding. The most terrifying thing in the galaxy hadn't lost its edge. It had found its reason not to use it. And that was far, far more dangerous. The first shot cracked through the air like thunder-splitting stone. Kale spun around, heart lurching as the plasma bolt arced through the cave's entrance, searing past his shoulder and striking the far wall. Sparks flared. Stone hissed. Nara's head snapped up instantly, her entire body coiling into motion before Kale could draw breath. He raised his hands. No, wait. Too late. The creature surged forward with terrifying grace, placing herself between Logan and the entrance. Her limbs flexed, her body stretching to full height, a silhouette of primal muscle and raw menace. Her pupils narrowed to slits. Her throat rumbled like a tectonic shift. Logan didn't move. He didn't yell. He simply stepped beside her and touched her leg. A soft pressure. A signal. Nara froze. Another figure appeared at the mouth of the cave, helmeted, rifle raised, armor pulsing with fresh heat from the shot. Trooper Vex from Omega Black. Young. Impulsive. Trigger happy. Kale shouted, "Stand down. You absolute idiot." "She's hostile." Vex snapped. "She's the target." "She didn't attack you," Logan said coolly. "You opened fire on her. You're the threat here." Vex hesitated, weapon wavering. Behind him, more shadows moved, other soldiers. The squad had followed. Of course they had. Kale stepped between them and the cave. Lower your weapon, Vex. That wasn't a threat display. That was restraint. Restraint. Vex barked, voice cracking. She's a death machine. Then why are we still breathing? Kale shot back. Vex faltered. The logic struck like a blow. In every other recorded encounter, Xerax had killed instantly. Yet now, less than 50 meters away, stood the apex predator, unharmed, untouched, unleashing nothing. She could have ended them all. She hadn't. Jex Tarn's voice came over comms, tight and cold. Report. Kale activated his mic. Commander. We nearly provoked her. But she held back. No casualties. Humans still alive. Speaking coherently. Creature continues to respond to him. Submissively. There was a pause on the line. Then, return to post. No further engagement until I arrive. Kale exhaled. Relief mixed with something heavier. Vex didn't lower his weapon until Jex's ship touched down half an hour later. The commander approached the cave slowly, armor covered in the dust of the valley. He didn't speak as he passed Kale, didn't glance at Logan, didn't flinch at the sight of Nara. He simply stopped 2 paces inside and stared. Logan remained seated, arms crossed. Nara lay curled behind him, head resting atop her claws. Her eyes followed Jex without blinking. I've seen her, Jex said quietly. I've seen what she does. I watched the feed from the Auro's outpost. 50 men. Gone in 7 minutes. Logan nodded. So have I. She didn't just kill. She hunted. She dragged bodies away. Burned what she didn't consume. She learned, Logan said. Jex frowned. You're saying she mimicked us? I'm saying she understood us. Not just physically. Morally. And she decided she didn't want to be like us. Jex scoffed. That's a romantic fantasy. No, Logan said, his voice hardening. It's a warning. You think this is about taming a monster? It isn't. She's not wild. She's not lost. She's choosing. And if she decides tomorrow that you're not worth sparing, not one of you will see it coming. Kale saw the tension in the commander's jaw. The muscles shifting. The calculation behind his eyes. She didn't kill you, Jex said slowly. Why? Logan shrugged. Maybe because I didn't try to kill her first. You want me to believe that all of this, Jex gestured at the cave at the beast, happened because of mercy? No, Logan said. Because of trust. The silence that followed was thick. Heavy with implications no one dared speak aloud. Jex turned to Kale. I want full surveillance on this cave. Cloaked. Low signal. You stay here. No movement unless fired upon. Yes, sir. And you, Jex said to Logan, you're not a prisoner. Yet. But if she turns, if even one more life is lost. She won't, Logan interrupted. Unless you force her to. Jex said nothing more. He left the cave without looking back. Night fell swiftly on Xer 91, cloaking the valley in deep indigo. The stars overhead looked different here. Older, farther. Kale sat just outside the cave, eyes on the dark horizon. Inside, Logan built a small fire. Nara sat beside it, her eyes reflecting the flames like molten gold. She used to sleep with one eye open, Logan said. Used to flinch if I so much as twitched. Kale tilted his head. What changed? I stopped flinching. Kale studied the way Nara leaned against the wall, relaxed but attentive. Her body was wound like a coiled spring, but calm, almost meditative. You love her, Kale said before he realized he'd spoken. Logan didn't deny it. Not like people love pets. Not like humans love each other. It's something else. A recognition. Of pain. Of solitude. We both lost everything. And found one thing that made survival feel like living. She's not human, Kale said. She's more than human, Logan replied. She has instinct, power, memory, and now. She has choice. Kale looked toward the cave mouth. What do you think she'll choose next? Logan fed another branch into the fire. That depends on what your people do tomorrow. A long silence stretched between them. Outside, the wind whispered through the mountains. Kale finally rose, stepping toward the exit. Before he left, he turned once more to the man and the beast beside him. She could destroy all of us, he said. And instead, she curled up next to a human in a cave. Logan met his gaze. Exactly. Kale walked back into the darkness, thoughts spiraling. He had come expecting carnage, prepared to report horror. Instead, he'd found something stranger. A predator that refused to kill. And a man who had given it a reason not to. But in the distance, just beyond the mountain peaks, more ships were coming. The council was gathering. And if they didn't understand what Logan and Nara had already learned, then peace would be the first casualty. The dawn came hard and silver across XR-91's peaks, cold light catching the clouds like blades scraping over stone. Above the valley, the sky shifted with movement. Dozens of ships emerged from the dark, slicing the atmosphere in disciplined formations. Cale watched them descend with a sinking chest, every instinct screaming what Logan already knew. The council had arrived. And they hadn't come to talk. Logan stood at the cave entrance, Nara beside him. She didn't roar, didn't rise to threaten. She simply watched the sky as if she'd seen it all before. There was no fear in her, only waiting. Jex's voice crackled over comms, sharp and clipped. Evacuate the valley. Orbital Command has declared this zone a level black threat. Purge protocols authorized. Cale stepped forward. She hasn't attacked anyone. Jex didn't pause. That's irrelevant. She can't. That makes her unacceptable. She's done nothing but show restraint, Cale said louder now. And Logan, he's not a prisoner, he's a witness. A diplomat. This is a chance to understand something none of us ever could. The comm line went silent. Then another voice came through, one Cale didn't recognize. A cold, surgical tone. All ground units, clear out. Orbital strike begins in 7 minutes. No exceptions. Cale turned to Logan. They're not going to listen. Logan nodded. They never were. He turned to Nara. Her eyes were calm. She stood slowly, unfolding to her full height. The earth beneath her feet cracked. Her breathing was even, controlled. No fear. Only resolve. Logan stepped into her shadow. You don't have to do this, he said softly. She blinked once. Then she moved. In a single, fluid leap, she launched upward, claws digging into the rock as she scaled the cliffside like a living missile. Her form vanished into the sky in seconds. Cale shouted into his comm, "What the hell is she doing?" But he already knew. Up above, the first cruiser had locked targeting. Its weapon core began to hum, gathering energy for an atmospheric displacement blast. Enough to glass the entire valley. Enough to turn life into memory. And then the screen went black. From the council flagship, alarms erupted. External feeds scrambled. Shields overloaded. Power circuits fried. All across the fleet, the same scream echoed. She had landed. Nara slammed onto the lead cruiser like vengeance incarnate, claws rending hull and steel like paper. She didn't kill the crew. She didn't aim for life support. She aimed for weapons. For control systems. For the pulse cannons that threatened the cave. The ship reeled in orbit, smoke bleeding into space. The second cruiser fired, too slow. She dropped from the first, dodged mid-freefall, tore through the second with an earth-shattering roar that echoed even in the atmosphere below. The council had sent war. She answered with precision. On the surface, Logan stood still, watching the sky bloom in brief flashes of orange and white. Cale stared in awe. She's not destroying them. She's disabling them. Logan nodded. She's giving them a chance. Why? Because she wants them to see. The third cruiser tried to retreat. It never made it. Nara didn't chase it down. She landed instead on the flagship, directly on the forward bridge, and looked straight into its command cameras. Inside, every admiral, every strategist, every scientist who had labeled her a threat, watched as the apex predator rested her blood-slicked claws on their precious alloy floor. And waited. Then the feed reconnected. Not through the fleet's network, but through Logan's comm, patched into the flagship's channel. He stepped forward, voice steady, face lit by the pale light of the cave. You've seen what she can do. You've known what she has done. But today you saw what she chose not to do. The channel buzzed. Dozens of voices tried to cut in. He raised his voice. You labeled her an extinction threat. But you never stopped to ask why she fought. She's not mindless. She's not driven by instinct alone. She is sentient. Aware. And tired of being hunted. He glanced at the sky. She could have ended your fleet. She chose not to. That makes her more than dangerous. It makes her wise. Admiral Raltor's face appeared at last. Rigid. Unreadable. You're saying she has the right to dictate terms? Logan answered without hesitation. No. I'm saying she has earned the right to exist. Raltor stared. For a long time no one spoke. Then the Admiral gave a single nod. Not agreement. Not surrender. Just acknowledgement. Stand down, he said. Above, the fleet withdrew. Engines lit. Weapon cores went cold. And on the hull of the Council's most powerful ship, Nara stood still until the last of them turned away. Then she leapt. She fell like a meteor, slicing through the sky, flames wrapping her form until she struck the valley floor in a whirlwind of dust and stone. When it cleared, she stood before Logan once more. He looked up at her. She blinked once. Then she curled beside him, her massive body coiling protectively around his smaller frame. Cale stepped forward, unable to hide the emotion in his voice. "They're leaving." Logan nodded. "They understand now. Maybe not everything. But enough." Cale looked up at Nara. Her eyes were half-lidded, calm once more. But even at rest, the sense of power emanating from her was undeniable. "They feared her because they didn't understand her," Cale said. "Now they'll fear her because they do." "No," Logan said. "Now they'll respect her." Silence fell over the valley. The war that never began was over. And in the ruins of certainty, something new had formed. Not peace. Not yet. But the beginning of it. And in the center of that fragile truth, a man and the creature who had once been death incarnate slept side by side. Not as master and beast, but as equals. As survivors. As proof that even the fiercest force in the galaxy could choose compassion over conquest. And the galaxy would never forget the day they saw the apex predator lay down its fangs and protect a human instead. The air was still as the last Council warship slipped from orbit. The silence didn't feel like peace. It felt like the moment after lightning strikes, when the sky holds its breath and the earth waits to see what will grow from the ashes. Logan stood in the crater where Nara had landed. Dust clung to his jacket, and his boots sank into scorched stone, but he didn't look tired. He looked inevitable. Cale stood beside him, quiet, watchful, the dust of history settling between them. Then the signal pinged. A coded transmission pulsed through Cale's comms. "High clearance. Human channel only." He tapped it open. A sharp, gravel-edged voice rang through. "Lieutenant Draven, this is Commander Darius Strake of Earth Special Operations. You will deliver the Apex asset to human command. Immediately." Cale stiffened. "She's not an asset, sir. She's a sentient." "I didn't ask for your sentiment," the voice snapped. "You are standing beside a creature that could shatter cities, and a man who managed to tame it. Bring them both. Earth has plans." The signal cut. Logan said nothing. But the corner of his mouth twitched. Not in surprise. In understanding. "You knew this was coming?" Cale asked. "I was hoping it would." Cale frowned. "What are you talking about?" Logan turned toward him, a glint of steel in his eye. "Let me ask you something, Cale. Do you really think the Council was ever the endgame?" Cale said nothing. Logan's voice lowered. "That stunt Nara pulled up there? That was a message. Not just to aliens. To humans. To the ones watching. The ones building things the Council hasn't even imagined yet." From the cliffs above, black dots streaked across the sky. Earth ships. Sleek, angular, twice as fast as the Council's cruisers and armed with weapons so experimental they weren't even logged in the Galactic Accords. They didn't come in diplomatic formation. They came in silence. Nara raised her head, growling low. Logan placed a hand on her. "They're ours. Let them come." The ships landed in formation. Jet-black transports unfolded like blades across the valley floor. Soldiers emerged in armor darker than obsidian, every man tall, armed, and silent. Not Council-trained. Not planet-bound. These were Terran-born. Humans who had spent decades fighting wars no one spoke of. At their head stood Darius Strake. Tall, hard-jawed, and arrogant enough to command gods. His eyes scanned the crater, landing on Logan like a hawk measuring prey. "Well," he said. "Aren't you a piece of work?" Logan stepped forward. "You're late." Strake's mouth curled. "Wasn't sure you'd survive." Logan shrugged. "I don't die easy." Strake turned his eyes on Nara, unflinching. "She's bigger than the report suggested. And smarter." "Good," Strake said. "We've got uses for both." Cale bristled. "She's not a weapon." Strake didn't even look at him. "Everything's a weapon if you know how to point it." But Nara didn't growl. Didn't bare her teeth. She watched the humans approach with interest. The air shifted, not with tension but with something else. Something colder. Purpose. Strake stepped closer. Logan didn't stop him. "Let's talk," Strake said. "Alone." They walked to the far edge of the crater, voices too low to hear. Cale watched, uneasy. He didn't trust men like Strake. No one should. He was the kind who saw every creature as a resource, every moment as a power play. But Logan wasn't the same man who had crawled into a cave months ago to die. He'd changed. He'd become something sharper. After 10 minutes they returned. Strake nodded to his men. Secure the perimeter. This valley belongs to Earth now. Kale stepped forward. Wait, what? You can't just annex alien territory. Strake cut him off. The council left. This world is unclaimed. We claim it. You can't do that. Logan's voice came quiet but hard. Yes, we can. Kale turned to him stunned. You're okay with this? Logan looked at him for a long moment. I didn't come here to serve the council. I came here to survive. And I did. Because I stopped following their rules. Kale stepped back. Strake gave a satisfied nod. Get used to it, Lieutenant. The council thought they were the center of the galaxy. They forgot something important. Kale clenched his fists. What's that? Strake's eyes glittered. Humans don't play by other species' rules. We rewrite them. As the soldiers moved, portable facilities rose from the ground like growing steel thorns. Labs, barracks, command towers. In hours, the valley was no longer wild. It was Terran. Claimed not by peace but by will. Kale turned his eyes to the sky. They're going to retaliate. They're going to try, Strake corrected. But the council doesn't understand what they just did. By pushing Earth to the edge, they revealed the real hierarchy. Not power. Not legacy. But adaptability. He pointed at Logan. This man made peace with the apex predator of the galaxy with nothing but instinct and guts. What do you think we'll do with resources and full control? Nara, resting beside the fire again, made no move to stop the humans. She wasn't submissive. She was curious. Watching. Logan sat beside her, watching the soldiers like a king among pawns. For the first time, Kale saw it clearly. This wasn't about survival. This was an ascension. Earth wasn't rising because it was smarter. Or older. Or more peaceful. It was rising because it refused to bow. Logan stood. His voice carried across the wind. You all feared her because she was the deadliest thing in the galaxy. And yet she chose me. Not because I was strong. But because I didn't flinch. Because I didn't ask permission to live. Strake nodded once like a general crowning a champion. Then let this be known, he said. From this day forward, the Apex Protocol belongs to Earth. And any species that challenges it will face the new Apex. Behind him, the Terran flag rose. Black and silver. Nara lifted her head and roared, not in defiance but in declaration. The valley trembled. Ships lifted. Messages spread. Across the galaxy, the signal echoed from station to station, language to language. The Predator had chosen. The war had been avoided. But the power had shifted. And in every council chamber, in every alien throne room, the same whisper was repeated in fear, awe, and disbelief. The humans didn't just survive. They won. Not with numbers. Not with tech. Not with treaties. With audacity. With arrogance so pure it rewrote fear itself. Logan stood beneath a sky that had once tried to bury him. He looked up and smiled. Tomorrow belonged to Earth. And the stars would never forget who rose to claim them.